What's going on, guys? Today we are going to discuss the NHL 20 beta and the gameplay that comes with it, the things I like, the things I don't, the things that you should expect to change come launch, and the problems that people are running into right now. I'm No Sleeves 12, let's jump into it. Alright, so let's start with the good. In my opinion, sixes that I played last night on the beta was the most fun sixes or EASHL gameplay I played in at least a year. NHL 19, I kind of stayed away from it after the first season of League Gaming on PlayStation because I usually main PlayStation, and with all the error codes and problems and the trappy, boring kind of gameplay style that's happened in sixes with the current meta, I kind of stayed away. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I did in prior games. But the beta last night was the most fun sixes gameplay I've played in a very long time. The gameplay was snappy, it was quick, there was no error codes, skating felt really good, shooting was still a kind of a hit and miss. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. Passing in sixes actually felt good, again, compared to versus. I'm going to get into that later as well. But we were able to pull off dekes and hit people in stride, and because of the new, the removing of the gliding when you receive a pass, things were very quick. I did enjoy it, and I hope that they don't make too many changes from the beta to the launch of the game when it comes to sixes solely. Next, I want to bring up the presentation package. I really enjoyed it for sixes. The rail cam replay you're seeing here is just a really cool look for the game. Makes it a little bit more exciting, especially in sixes because it's highlighting a specific player. I do need to mention, though, the bottom scoreboard, that's a kind of a big miss so far. I played it in April, and it was the thing I mentioned immediately was that when you're playing versus or even sixes or any game mode, your eyes are going up with the play, so it's very hard to notice the actual scoreboard on the bottom because you're taking your eyes going up. You're basically only looking at it when you're going down, or you have to take your eyes straight off the play. Something I did, I was missing offsides and things like that. I don't really play with sound on, so I wasn't able to hear things, but when I put on I had to put on the on-ice trainer for offside just to notice it a little bit more. That's one big takeaway, is that scoreboard is really not being well received, and I'm not sure if that's just because people don't like change and we're not used to it, but I'm not a huge fan, much like everyone or a lot of other people as well. When it comes to the menus in sixes, there's still way too many menus in World of Chell. I know it's something that they want to focus on going forward, but I did feel that they felt a little bit faster, so it was a little bit easier to get into the next game and play around and get into and actually edit your builds quite quickly, so that was kind of good as well. The announcers, Sobolski brings a lot of excitement to the game. I do enjoy his play-by-play, but I found that after a little while, it's almost too much. He's full tilt, full time, and I don't know if that's going to be kind of lead to be more annoying, but I do enjoy it right now. I'm probably going to get bored of it just like everyone else does, but it is something fresh. I don't mind it at all. Doc is my favorite real-life commentator, but it was stale because they only go out to Vancouver a few times a year to record. So with Sobolski and Ferraro now in the play, they are in Vancouver, so they can just go in and do new things right then and there with the game while it's updating throughout the year. So that's a really, really unique opportunity and something that I'm glad that they put through. So that's what my take on sixes and the presentation for it. So now let's discuss versus, and this was definitely kind of a letdown with the current build that it is right now. A lot of the problems that have been, we've been experiencing was one-timers specifically. Now, in that, if you didn't watch my last video when they talked about what was going to be in the beta and how it's 8 weeks old to what they have currently now, they did discuss that the most affected aspect of the game is one-timers, and sure enough, when I was playing, I played about 10 games, one-timers on the offhand, so how you normally do a one-timer, were really weak. Passing felt insanely slow, and to actually develop a one-timer goal was basically non-existent because by the time that the pass A actually got there, the goaltender was over, and then the animation that the player actually chose to fire the puck on net was real, like it was just a muffin essentially. So I found that forehand one-timers, so you have a correct-handed player and you fire it off a one-timer, those were actually pretty fast. Even from the point, there was actually almost times where I was able to score from a point shot with a forehand correct-handed player, which you know, it might change the meta a little bit, to be honest with you, if the speed of those shots stays the same. Another thing I did notice is that when you receive a puck and you get that in transition and you get a wrist shot off almost immediately, the player does react to it quite well, and the animation I felt was really good. Now, other than that, though, this current build seems to be really rough, and again, that is to be expected. This is a very old version of what they have, 8 weeks old. So with the amount of time that they're putting into NHL 20, expect versus to look quite a bit different. And again, if you want to go back and look at the notes, they're on EANHL.com. In one of the last blog or my last video, I discuss all of the things that have been updated since this build was complete. But yeah, in its current state, I'm kind of just staying away from the beta. This is going to play much differently than it will at launch, in my opinion. Just the shooting alone is drastically going to change the game. The skating, I actually didn't feel, it wasn't all that terrible. I found that the actual passes, when you receive them and the glide being removed, they felt cool. Overall, speed does seem a little bit slower in terms of end-to-end, but the one thing I did notice is that when you straight line players, they're actually getting burned quite often. I found that instead of doing the L2 is basically non-existent, which is great, and on the rush specifically, you're not able to get any speed off of that. So I found that when I just straight lined players, I think people were kind of used to having to wait and hold up to see if you're going to change your angle because of the L2. You're going to just blow by them because of straight line and the speed, you know, the defenseman not adjusting or not turning around quickly. I was basically just turning around the second I lost the puck and not really back skating at all on defense because I was getting kind of worried that I was going to get blown by again. So again, those changes are probably going to be fixed in launch. So with the current build right now, it's fun to see the transitions being fixed, but again, I'm going to stick to 6s for this beta or World of Shell because that actually feels quite a bit more polished and actually fun to play for the first time in quite some time. So guys, that was my 6s and versus takes so far. I did play a little bit of Eliminator and 1s. I'm just not a huge fan of it. It was very fast. It felt like you got into the games pretty quickly. It was a cool little concept. If you are into 1s, you're definitely going to enjoy the new Eliminator mode, especially if it comes with things that are unlocked in the future. It all ties into the rewards, in my opinion, when it comes to those modes. I just don't have a lot of fun playing them. I don't get a lot out of it. But if you do, they do look like they have been tuned quite well, especially 1s. So I did play a little bit of it, and it wasn't terrible at all. I felt like it is what 1s has always been, and the new Eliminator mode is fast enough to keep you interested while you're playing it. So when it comes to the new Eliminator mode, it is cool, but again, it's all going to be tied into what the rewards are for it, in my opinion. So guys, let me know what you think of the beta so far, what you want to see changed, and please, if you do like the video and the content, please subscribe to my channel. I'll have a ton of content for you in NHL 20, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.